Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Bree, but you can call me Lucky or whatever makes sense to you. Here, we normally do Let's Plays or streams of some of the great games that we all know and love, but today we're gonna do something a little bit different. Because as a longtime enthusiast of games, I've certainly had a moment or two where I've fallen down the rabbit hole of some interesting topics that I, myself, want to know more about. And today's topic has a lot to it. We are talking about the gamer girl. She's a myth, she is a legend, she is a fantasy, she is also sitting in front of you, but is she really? Today's video will be a partial deconstruction on the gamer girl identity, as well as a where is she now? Does she still walk among us? Does she exist? If so, in what forms? And let me tell you exactly why I started going down this rabbit hole. Like many who enjoy video games, I was in the market to refurbish my keyboard because many people have accused it of being annoying, loud, and overall nuisance. Its number one hater being my boyfriend. During my quest to obtain a new one, I noticed that there were so many colors available to me. I mean, sure, I checked out more than the colors. I checked out the mechanical switch color, yellow, blue, brown, etc. I checked out the percentage of the keyboards, blah, 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 you get it. But really, as somebody who really appreciates aesthetics, I was shocked at just how far the colorways have come for gaming products. Like when my young 12-year-old self was fantasizing about her gaming cave as an adult, I struggled for my life to find an example of anything other than hot pink, hot red, neon blue, and neon green, or black as my options for colors. That was the single agonizing truth about game merchandise marketed towards young girls like me. If you're going alongside with traditional gender stereotypes, pink was basically my only option if I wanted a feminine spin on my gaming stuff. Okay, I get it. So what do colors have to do with the topic at hand? Let's wrap this up, shall we? Well, for hundreds of years, people have traditionally used colors as a means of symbolism. And what we often see is a tie between color attribution to gender expression. Pink equals girl, blue equals boy. And that's pretty much been the run of things for the last 100-ish years or so. But the point is, young girls in the 2000s, and probably still today, are being strongly associated with the color pink. So, my cat is pissing. So with that concept as it is, when I looked for a new gaming keyboard and I saw colors beyond hot pink, I was elated. I was elated because now we have colors like blue, pastel blue, purple, pastel purple, hot purple, yellow, brown, white, the list goes on. And with that concept of femininity and gaming and how those elements have interacted historically, seeing this expansion of colors begged the question for me. Is this expansion of colors heralding the expansion of something else? Is there a truth about the state of girls who play games hidden within this marketing? Like, no, I don't think it's a weird psyop or anything, but the truth hides in the reflections of others. So it made me ask, has the demographic of people who play games changed in the last 20 years? Or did we just find more colors in the RGB rainbow? Or has the identity of the hardcore gamer girl finally perished in the ashes of the sexism that created her to arise as a new phoenix? That is what we're here to find out today. In today's video, we will be addressing the question, does the social identity of the 2000s gamer girl still exist today in 2024? An exploration in pop culture, media, and marketing will illuminate our answer. Before we go any further, I have to disclose I am an employee of Warner Brothers Entertainment Group, but my feedback and opinions are solely my own. I may not stream, review, cover, or mention WB Games or any of their associated titles. So there will be no mentions of that in this video and any on my channel. But without further ado, we can hop right into things. This is my cat Kalula. Well, this is her tail. I couldn't get it in. She will walk through and we will let her do her thing. So before we make any decisions about what our hypotheses are or even any assumptions about the topic at large, we should get on the same page about our term definitions. Some of you may find this list to be basic. However, it is always good to make sure that your communication is clear and that we're thinking and conceptualizing the same things when we make these statements. So 1, games in the context of this video will be referring to video games. We are also including mobile games and PC games in the equation, so we are not speaking exclusively to console gaming. When speaking in the historical context, we may reference items like board games, or rather known as war games. All right, the girl gamer. This one I think is important to define because, you know, we can extrapolate this to many things. A girl gamer is, yes, she is a girl who plays games. For our purposes, we are going to be looking at the girl gamer as a social identity. The social identity relies heavily on a trope of the late 90s to the 2010s. And the reason that it's important to highlight that this is a social identity concept is because we're going beyond the standard definition of you are a girl, you play game, you're a girl gamer. We want to look specifically for traits highlighted in this tropes definition. This is the definition from tvtropes.com, and this is kind of the crux of who we're talking about today. She is usually very tomboyish and even might be a stereotypical nerd or someone who is proud to be a geek. But because she is brought in for fan service, she usually looks exceptionally feminine and well-kept. She is confrontational and self-aware of her gender, with the need to mention it more often than she should. So when we're examining this identity, we're looking for those personality traits or expressions of those personality traits, as well as the categorical definitions that would quantify that an individual is a girl gamer. This, I think, is crucial to capturing the identity as a whole, and why I'm choosing to use this definition is that I think that this social identity relies heavily on its time period. And finally, how are we going to define her aliveness? How are we going to define our living existence of gamer girls? Like, if they walk amongst us, where would they appear? And here are the places that we're looking for existence or representation. We will be looking in media and pop culture, such as movies and TV, influencers and social media, and advertising and marketing. It's possible you may watch this video and say like, my friend totally fits this vibe of like the girl gamer, so therefore they still exist. However, I don't know your friend. We're going to be looking broadly at items that everybody can perceive in their day-to-day life. So we will be straying away from personal experience or anecdotes, and we'll be looking at what bubbles to the top of pop culture and social media in order to evaluate this social identity's livingness in society. And now, a quick history of women and games. So women have been involved in the creation of video games for many, many decades. They were typically bringing stories to life, hard-coding mechanics that challenge people all over the world. For example, Carol Shaw was one of the early pioneers for video games with her work at Atari. One of her best-selling games was the 1982 project River Raid. And even during that time period, we had women artists creating artwork and graphics for pinball machines, which were, of course, another great way to participate in the gaming community back in the 80s. When it comes to participating in video games, we begin to see statistically significant participation of women in games like Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s. It was very small population of women who participated in Dungeons and Dragons. Some Dungeons and Dragons fan clubs in the US returned results of maybe less than 1% or less than 2%, but this was marginally higher than what they had been seeing previous to the release of Dungeons and Dragons. And there's a lot of reasons why Dungeons and Dragons became popular with female demographics and only increased in popularity all the way till today. But that is a very interesting and meaty topic for another time. The point is, for many women across the US, Dungeons and Dragons was kind of the first sort of appealing game to that population in the 80s. And games would only go on to expand in media form, genre, and demographic interest all the way until today. One of the next points I want to bring up when it comes to statistically significant populations of women in gaming is the 2010s. In the early 2010s, women finally began to uphold about half of the demographic of people who play games. In 2015, Pew Research published a survey that found that women who play video games comprise about 48% of the demographic. However, interestingly enough, they're about half as likely to refer to themselves as gamers as their male counterparts. So what that means is if you were a woman who played games, you were unlikely to say that you were a gamer, whereas a man who plays games may be twice as likely to report themselves as a gamer. Even though between the two groups, both percentages of those willing to report themselves as a gamer were relatively low. I guess we've continued to have shame and decency, so stay toxic, gamers. One last topic that I want to bring up before we conclude our history section is Gamergate. Gamergate is, well, it is a dark moment in history for gaming, at least. It is more than enough of a topic to go into it in an entire 2-hour-long video, if not more than that. Without going into a deep history of what spurred Gamergate and the people involved, for our purposes, I will just describe it as Britannica's topic describes it. Gamergate was an online harassment campaign in 2014 to 2015 that targeted women in the video game industry. The attacks were attributed largely to white male right-wing gamers who railed against the rise and influence of women and feminism in the industry. Gamergate served as a recruiting tool for the growing alt-right. It would go on to spur other online conspiracy theories such as Pizzagate, QAnon, so on and so forth. So it was a dark moment, and the effects of that are surely lingering, but it is one of the more recent moments impacting women in games. Many prominent women in the gaming sphere were direct targets of attacks, threats, including rape and death threats. It was obviously a very dark and terrible moment. I bring it up to highlight some of the contextual events happening around the social identity of the gamer girl. This is an event that would have happened near the height or peak of when gamer girls were really a big thing. And so it's important to give that context to what would impact the behavior of the social identity as well as the expression of it. But that concludes our background section. With that, we can jump into our examples and evidence for today. I'm super excited to dive in. Let's get started. Our method of exploration, as previously hinted at, is going to include a compare and contrast between pieces of media, advertising, or social media personalities that were highly present in the 2010s era, so this is from the 2000s anywhere to 2014, and then in terms of modern day, I've used anything from 2020 and on. So as we compare and contrast these examples, we're going to first look at a piece of media from the 2010s, and then we're going to do a breakdown and walkthrough of what we just saw. After that, we are going to see a piece of media from the 2020s, and we'll go ahead and do that same breakdown and walkthrough. And finally, we'll compare and contrast what we just saw together. Ultimately, this is an exploration and observation, and so I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, what you start to think as we go through each example. I think that there will be a lot of conclusions we can draw from this, and maybe from your perspective, you don't see any big difference at all. But for those of you who do, I'd love to hear where you're seeing the slight differences in the details. All right, so we're kicking things off with advertisements. So to explain my methodology a little bit, I made sure to have specific criteria that each video should fit in order for it to be a comparable example or piece of media. So what I mean by that is I search for videos about video games, including only adult women, and the adult woman should be representing a player. So it shouldn't just be like a mom in a video game advertisement who's bringing their kids lunch. It shouldn't just be like a little kid who's playing the game, a little girl who's playing the game. I wanted to look for an adult woman, a young adult woman in particular, who was playing the game or representing somebody playing the game. I also tried to look for pieces of examples that had dialogue or were individually focused on this identity. I thought this was the best way to get to the root of the girl gamer because the girl gamer, of course, at her core, is supposed to be representative of a young woman who plays games. And let me tell you, this was so hard, and for fucking what? I spent hours trolling YouTube trying to find these advertisements because, wow, surprise, surprise, women weren't in a lot of video game advertisements back in the day. So, hey, I'm just glad I found something, and we'll go ahead and jump right into them. First video features Aubrey Plaza standing in as a female player of World of Warcraft. This recording of the commercial was posted in 2011. That being as it was meant that it happened and was filmed and recorded and released previous to 2011, meaning it fit our criteria of being a 2010s example of a girl gamer. Let's watch.
So my boyfriend gives me World of Warcraft for my birthday, and I'm like, I said diamonds. Then he starts telling me I can mine diamonds in the game. Whatever, I tried it anyway. One day he comes in and says, I think you like that game more than you like me. And I realized he was right. So I dumped him.
World of Warcraft. Try it for free at warcraft.com.
What's your game?
All right, so here's what we see. Aubrey Plaza is impersonating a gamer girl who plays World of Warcraft. Now, her story is that she got World of Warcraft as a gift. She was upset about this gift because naturally she preferred jewelry or diamonds, and she gives kind of a sassy response about her boyfriend saying that, oh, you can mine diamonds in the game. It's played for comedic effect. Aubrey is acting very rebellious. She is really harping on her identity as a girl, being like, why the fuck would I want to play this game? But then, you know, realizing she's actually enjoying it, she's like, hey, actually, I like this game more than I like my boyfriend. So it's me and this game. So we'll go into the analysis in the next part of the video, but I do want to highlight how interesting it is that there's this focus on rebelliousness, raunchy humor, drilling into the identity of her femininity in order to play the advertisement for laughs. And yet this is of course intended for a girl to see it. This is a young adult woman. She's actually enjoying her game. So maybe me or whoever's watching as a young adult woman will also enjoy this game, even if it's not diamonds or stereotypically what a girl might have enjoyed. This advertisement was created by Blizzard at least before 2011. I couldn't find a timestamp any earlier than that, but more to come on analysis in a bit. For now, let's check out our next video, this time featuring a 2020 example of what a female gamer might look like. The next advertisement I'm about to play for you was created and posted by Nintendo 1 month ago, so very recent. And for those watching in the future, this is 2024 December, so November 2024. This advertisement features someone of a similar caliber, a celebrity, I believe, by the name of Ray. She looks to be a UK singer, and in this video, we're going to see how she interacts with video games as a part of her life.
Thank you, Los Angeles.
Awesome show. Your car's waiting outside. Have a great flight.
Okay, thanks. Can't wait to see you guys, and I'm really sorry I missed your birthday.
Don't worry, I saved you some cake.
Oh, bless you.
405's all backed up, but we got time.
I'm all good. Oh.
Oh, Yoshi.
Good morning.
Oh.
Yoshi woke me up.
Okay, let's play.
Okay, you're straight in. Baby Luigi.
I'm gonna be Toadette. I'm Bowser.
Are you Yoshi because of Yoshi?
Yeah.
Oh.
And go, 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 go. How was that?
Bump me out the way.
Good for you, girl. Oh, I just got hit.
Sorry, Kate.
Kate's third.
Kate, look at you. The amount of blue shells that I'm getting on this game is unfair. We're not.
You're being so mean.
Abby, I'm coming for you.
Send it, Abby, send it. Go now. I'm so close.
Final corner.
We're going again.
Ray is a singer. She has just come off from a concert performance where she had to miss, I believe, one of her sister's birthdays. Got a text that she should hop on Animal Crossing because, hey, they saved a piece of cake for her in game. So we get to see all the ways that Ray gets to participate in these social circles and enjoy connection through video games. And it all ends with her playing Mario Kart with what I believe are her sisters or her family members or friends. So it's a very loving scene. It's very sweet. And I will say, as we're about to get into the analysis section here, I showed you advertisements from Nintendo and from Blizzard, which are two game companies which could not be farther apart. So trust me when I say I am aware of the discrepancies here. Tone for Blizzard is much more different than tone for Nintendo. So when we look at this analysis, we'll try to steer away from looking at the tone and look more specifically at the personality traits exhibited by the players of the game. So again, we just saw two very different experiences of women playing games, separated by genre and of course by decades. In the first video, we saw Aubrey Plaza taking on a much edgier and crude sense of humor, but putting aside the edge and the darkness, what we are left with is an advertisement that really hinges on the player's identity as a girl. One of the biggest talking points in the advertisement is the fact that the player expected some kind of jewelry or traditional feminine gifts, but instead was given a video game. The player also exhibits a sense of independence, a little bit of rebelliousness from the norm, because even though that gift was not something that they had expected to receive, the player goes ahead and embraces the identity of World of Warcraft and even becomes so obsessed with the game that they go ahead and dump their significant other. I also want to point out the costuming of Aubrey. It's not necessarily very revealing or anything, but we do see her wearing short shorts and what appear to be like a very sexy frame of glasses. She's also considered very pretty, although she's not a bombshell blonde. And the difference between this that I want to highlight is we often see the bombshell blonde set up as the traditional expectation of femininity and white beauty standards. However, in this case, we see Aubrey is a brunette. She's wearing glasses. She is a little bit different from what we would have seen in a advertisement featuring a woman that we should aspire to be in the 2000s. Something else I want to highlight about this Aubrey Plaza advertisement is that there's actually a second unreleased version that was never aired on public television, but you can find it on IGN.com or other places on YouTube, and I'll go ahead and play that for you now.
It's not easy being an orc. My friends used to make jokes like, orc, the other white meat, or put an orc in it. I told them I'd throw them into the depths of rage fire chasms. They thought I was bluffing. I've never faked an orgasm in my life.
World of Warcraft. Try it for free at warcraft.com.
I'm Aubrey Plaza and I'm an orc. What's your game?
In this advertisement, Aubrey is still playing the persona of a female gamer. She is still a player of World of Warcraft, and we see that she has chosen an orc for her character. Now, an orc is a symbol of strength, power. Anyone who plays any kind of fantasy game can tell you that, hey, orcs are supposed to be really strong, and they're often seen as a little wild or untamed. I do think that that is significant for the social identity that we are trying to describe or capture here. They really could have had her play as any character or shown her as any character, and they chose an orc, and they also chose to stand out side by side with her real human form. Now, there's an element here where, sure, she's a celebrity, and maybe that is just an eye-catching tactic that's like, hey, Aubrey Plaza playing World of Warcraft. But I do think that the contrast of the orc character with her own human self standing there does kind of highlight this idea of the gamer girl being something that is very beautiful, very, alluring, like, oh, she's a pretty girl, like she takes care of herself, she's well kept, but she also exudes a certain amount of power and superiority over her. My cat ran into my cat's playing with the ring light. But she exudes a certain amount of power over her competitors, and she is willing to be ruthless to maintain that level of power, because it is also in a way tied to her own femininity and identity, at least conceptually. So clearly at the end of the video, Aubrey makes a funny joke that she's never faked an orgasm. More than just being part of Blizzard's edgy sense of humor, we can also attribute this to the sexuality behind a gamer girl, especially in the 2010s era. It's a funny little joke. It's kind of, I love a good pun. But I also think its presence in this advertisement next to Aubrey Plaza wearing her short shorts and, crossing her arms and being this figure of power really alludes to that girl gamer identity and shows that it is alive and well in the context of this advertisement. Now compare that with what we saw from Nintendo. Again, taking out kind of the genre vibes of both these different games. Blizzard more edgy, more violent, whereas Nintendo more cozy, more focused on the family. We see two women occupying completely different spaces as gamers. In the case of Nintendo with Rei, we see that she has an identity outside of just being a girl. This advertisement does not hinge on her gender identity as much as it hinges on her having a lot of responsibilities and wearing a lot of hats. She's a singer, she is a member of the family, she's career-minded, but she is social-minded as well. This contrast presents us with a conflict of issue that is different from the Blizzard advertisement, where the conflict was I am a girl, you have given me a boy thing. The conflict in this case is shown to be an inability to be constantly connected to the ones that we love most, even when we're pursuing our great passions. Nintendo's presenting a problem of disconnectedness and creating a solution with their Nintendo Switch. Hey, you can still stay connected this way. In no part of the video does Ray's femininity act as the hinge for this narrative. Ray's gaming experience hinges much more on her connections and friendships with others, her desire to maintain a community, and essentially any other subject rather than just like girl. She is more than just girl. And I think that that is very significant when we're contrasting it with Aubrey's advertisement, because while Aubrey's advertisement does have funny moments and talks about different flavors of being a girl, it really does hinge on girlness, whereas Ray's video with Nintendo, Ray's femininity is more of like a set dressing or even like a detail that is unnecessary or not crucial to the main story being told. Marketing and advertising really focus on telling a conflict to the viewer and presenting their product as the solution. And when we see the focuses of these conflicts side by side, we see so clearly that Aubrey Plaza's advertisement is much more connected to the girl gamer identity of hinging on her gender, focusing on sexuality or expected femininity. It incorporates a sense of rebelliousness or independence that must be proven via superior gameplay. In Nintendo's advertisement, we see a lack of focus on Ray's femininity or gender. While it is part of what makes Ray Ray and what makes the video, you could take out or swap Ray with any person of any other gender and this video could come out the same way. The experience provided by Ray is also one that hinges on community, friendship, connection, and cooperation. There's a lack of rebelliousness, there's a lack of independence, even when they're playing a competitive game together. It's more focused on the community aspect and the aspects that would have been important to Ray as a character of this narrative, being somebody who does have to be away from home often or leads a very busy life. That wraps up our section on advertising. We will be revisiting these topics at the end of the video when we go through our larger analysis and our speculations on what this all means or comes together to mean. But for now, we're gonna move on to movies and TV. How is the gamer girl depicted in movies and TV shows across the 2000s? The first clip is from season 5, episode 9 of Bones. I fucking love Bones, so when I realized that I was gonna do this topic and I remembered this episode, I was like, so I'm very happy my two worlds are colliding right now. This episode aired December 3rd, 2009, so we're well in the time frame of our gamer girl era. And to give a little context for those who aren't familiar with Bones, it is a FBI investigatory series that focuses on forensic analysis and coupling with crime or casework. The show focuses on Dr. Temperance Brennan, a forensic anthropologist at the FBI, who is played by Emily Deschanel, and she essentially works in partnership with her FBI partner, and they go on to solve murders together by analyzing the bones left behind by the victims. And so in this case, we have an episode that is titled accurately The Gamer and the Grease, where the body of a gamer has been recovered from a grease pit. They're looking for a set of suspects as indicated by the evidence that they have found. So one of the main suspects is another gamer, and in this case, she is a competitive gamer named Deirdre. I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip for you.
He's dead. Oh man.
Yes! Take that, Steve Richardson! I am the reigning empress of Pokeball! Yeah!
She must be the babe who replaced Steve.
Wow, you didn't waste any time, did you? Look, I had business commitments with Steve. I had to move quickly or I was gonna lose a ton of dough.
What's up, Chris?
Deirdre, these people are with the FBI.
Plus, gamers are predominantly male, so a lot more are gonna turn out to see her compete, right?
Sexist little twerp. It's not about looks, it's about ability.
So what we just saw is Deirdre kind of reacting to the news. Her competition partner has essentially been murdered. So we have a lot of emotions flying around in this scene. But to kind of call out the points that I want to go over later, I want to call out her appearance, that being very attractive, but a little bit of a punky energy to it. She's got kind of that spiky hairdo that really went on in the 2000s, a little bit of edge to her. She shouts out competitive language. She has like an energy about her that tinges with rebelliousness, with independence. Definitely is not one who wants to get kicked down or have her integrity as a gamer questioned. We even have interesting comments from Dr. Lance Sweets, who says that gamers are predominantly male, so a lot more people will turn out to see her compete. And what actually is relevant about Sweet's comment is Deirdre's response to him. She calls him a twerp and emphasizes that it's her ability that has got her this far rather than her gender. Now, she wasn't the one who initially brought up her gender, it was Sweets, but I think the fact that it came up at all, you know, keeping in mind that this is a show that is written purposefully by people to elicit responses from the different characters for the purpose of giving them an identity in the show. I think it is significant that she responds that way. It does very much fit within the envelope of that gamer girl identity we keep coming back to. One that is very focused on her power as a gamer, her ability, edge and frustration when that's called into question, or just generally going on the offense about her worth as it's tied to her ability to game. She also looks exceptionally feminine and is very well kept. More on this later, of course, but I do think that so far we're seeing the classic signs of gamer girlness in this clip. Now moving on to the next clip. Ooh, we are back into the 2020s and I'm so excited to be showing you this clip of one of my favorite characters from Mythic Quest. Now, what is Mythic Quest if not one of my favorite geeky shows of all time? It is a show on Apple TV that documents with a comedic spin the days of a video game developer studio. In this case, they're parodying the life of a video game developer, putting a spotlight and a hilarious twist on the various roles that they take every day, and kind of the stresses and pressures that come with game development, as it's such an insane and unhinged industry and has been ever since its inception. I think most people who are into video games have heard of Mythic Quest, but if you haven't, please check it out. It is so good. They're coming out with season 4 soon. One individual I want to focus on in the context of the show is Dana. I don't really have a specific clip to show you guys because Apple is scary about copyright. So what instead I will be showing you is a short montage of Dana as a character. I'll also give you a little bit of background to who she is so that we're not just looking at these short little moments of her, but trying to get an understanding about her character as a young woman who plays video games.
Bye-bye, boss man. You just got your ass kicked by Wild D.
52 subscribers. Why are you so boring?
The blazing blade.
You're not even looking at the right camera.
Immolation.
What?
Sick, right? That's it for me today. Ooh, the next person to subscribe gets a shout out.
Please, dear God, pick a camera and stick with it.
Anybody?
Pathetic.
And what's with the tester? You're bringing the whole company? Guys, we look desperate.
I brought Dana because she gets it. She's young, she's a woman in gaming, and unlike you, I actually value the voices.
Poppy needed a ride, right?
Yeah. I tried to warn her about the cosplay thing, but then she yelled at me. The greatest live event in MQ history.
The glasses are working?
The mysterious hacker never returned.
Cut! That was great.
That was brutal. Why am I still doing this? I am getting crushed.
And Dana, maybe be less quiet? This is supposed to get people excited about your channel, so maybe don't act like you're in a basement in Kabul. Give me a giggle.
I don't really Google.
Try it out. What's your take on mobile games?
They suck.
Yeah, they're not games. They're bullshit apps made to distract people while they poop.
But I suppose you love them because you can cram them full of microtransactions to scam middle-aged women. Okay, Brad. Let's go.
What's happening?
Come on, Dana.
Night-night.
Oh! Yes! Go for the sword! Go for the sword!
So So essentially what we just kind of observed is Dana as a character. She has moments of hilarity, creativity. She has dabbled in streaming and developing games herself. She is a young, energetic woman, really has an ambition to her, but she's also very free-flowing and flexible as an individual. We are going to be comparing Dana as somewhat of a main cast character to a side character or guest star for an episode, so there will be a difference in the depths we are able to discuss. So in Mythic Quest, we see Dana in multiple roles. We see her as a QA tester. She's finding all the bugs. She's, coming up with new ideas to make the game better and improve it. And she's also having her side arcs. She's falling in love. She is looking for a way to make a name for herself in games. But while she is assertive about her goals, I would not describe her as aggressive. That level of aggression and edge when we're looking at the girl gamer archetype is something that is important to consider. In this case, Dana doesn't show that quality of aggression, she shows the quality of assertion. When she is challenged, she doesn't react by belittling or calling people names like we saw in the first clip with Deirdre, but she reacts with optimism, hilarity, or even with confidence, saying like, okay, like taking on the challenges that as they come. She also makes connections with people, many individual and different roles from her. Whereas we see Deirdre more as a lone island who wants to stand out from the crowd. While her and Dana both show signs of ambition, we definitely see more of a lone island sort of approach from Deirdre, whereas we see Dana as somebody who's building alliances and connections to achieve her goals. As Dana is considered one of the main representations of a woman who plays games, she is a streamer in the show. She's kind of platformed for her relatability to other gamers. She's a great example of the current state of how we perceive women in games because she is somebody who is multifaceted. She is ambitious. She can have those qualities of shooting for her dreams, of exploring new options, and being highly skilled as a gamer. She can be all of those things without encompassing the familiar identity of the girl gamer. She is not somebody who is rude. She is not somebody who is edgy or trying to prove something based on her identity. She kind of exists beyond that and really encompasses her holistic self. Much like we saw like in the previous videos, Dana is really somebody who is her own individual instead of being a caricature or cutout of what a girl gamer might have been. She may be geeky and she has a lot of nerdy interests, but she doesn't go out of her way to prove that. It just is a part of her character and who she is, and that's visible throughout the show, even if she's not making specific targeted references towards it. That is something that we wouldn't have seen in early 2000s media, or at least that I don't remember seeing for girl gamers then. So ultimately, we have two gamers who are put in the spotlight here. We have Deirdre, who is a rising champion of Monkey Pong. Yeah. Dana herself is an extremely skilled gamer as well. She is a QA tester. While an important role in game development is not always treated with the most respect, so she is a rising star in that sense, where she's trying to get more recognition for her value that she contributes to the studio. And so she's very skilled. She represents a streamer. She is playing games day in, day out, and she has a level of relatability to her. So ultimately, two gamers in the spotlight, both young women, both highly skilled, but their expressions are completely different. And I will go ahead and admit that perhaps a little bit of this is attributed to the fact that Bones had to fit in a archetype character for a suspect list for one episode, whereas with Mythic Quest, we have the opportunity to explore a character completely as a whole. Dana is able to get multiple arcs, but I do want to also plant the seed that perhaps the ability for Dana to exist as a character in itself kind of signifies movement away from the girl gamer identity. The fact that she's not treated as an opportunity for a quick joke or a quick trope use is absolutely a departure from what we saw with our Bones clip. That's not to say that the girl gamer trope does not exist in 2020 media at all, but it is a nice sign that one of the popular shows attributed towards gaming does feature a character like Dana who does exist beyond those stereotypes and beyond those experiences. For those who don't know, SS Sniper Wolf is short for Sexy Sniper Wolf. She is a Let's Play YouTuber who launched her channel in 2013 and eventually grew to 5 million subscribers. She was mostly well known at least in the gaming terms, for her Call of Duty gameplay. Yes, there are controversies and suspicions about whether or not it was really her gameplay, but the fact of the matter is this is what she became popular for, this is what she's known for, it is part of her identity, but it's not really relevant to evaluating her as a gamer girl, so I'm going to, just focus on her persona, how she interacts with her content, and how that is shown to viewers. We're just gonna watch a small clip from her best hiding spot ever Modern Warfare prop hunt video. Prop hunt, of course, is a Call of Duty gameplay in which you disguise yourself as a prop or you are a hunter, and it's basically hide and seek. It's basically hide and seek if you're able to wear a costume as a lamp and run around. If seeking was also shooting them with a gun. So you get it. Let's watch.
That's trash. No?
Assuming everyone's fucking trash, dude. How toxic. Do you see me?
That doesn't belong. You don't belong here. This is boxes only.
I believe I'm a box.
I'm ready to flash. I'm ready to flash. I'm ready to flash. Ah! He knew! How did he knew? Look! It's like he fucking knew! Damn, I know exactly where to go. I know exactly which box to kill.
Oh no. Yeah,
I blame you. There's no barrels by trash cans. Okay, perfect. Yeah, there can only be 4 at a time together.
Fuck. Shut up. I can't change anymore.
You gotta go where there's like 3 barrels and fit in. Oh, I gotta hide like under a barrel. That's what I gotta do. Can I go
I was the barrel, asshole.
There's no, but not just one. Are you the trash?
No, I'm the little sack of potatoes.
What is
right here. You see me hopping?
The sack of shit.
Alright. Yeah, fuck you.
No. Oh, okay, now he does. Come here. Ah, that's what I thought. See these? Oh! I just quickscoped this guy. I literally fucking quickscoped him. What are y'all at? I'll be like these little dicks and hide in the corner right here.
Locked down.
Come on. There's literally nothing you can do. Ooh.
Is that how you're getting all your kills?
No.
There you are, you little cheater.
I'm doing a lot of things. I'm doing the I'm dead.
I went ahead and did a little bit of a video refresher dive on SS Sniper Wolf's playlist, and what I found was that she talks a lot about things that are maybe not relevant to the gameplay, and so in that sense I'm going to not talk about that when we're going over her content. I'm going to specifically focus on her attitude as a gamer. One thing also I'm going to comment on is how she appears in her videos. I don't want to comment on the way that she's dressing to pass any judgment or to pass any particular value of how she's presenting herself as a streamer, but it is important to the core of the social identity that we're examining that we do say like how these things connect. How she presents herself as well as her attitude is something that's going to define her as her social identity as a girl gamer, and so that's the only reason I want to point out that I want to be commenting on it. Of course, everybody is entitled to dress and appear the way that they would like to appear and dress, and that doesn't necessarily inform anything about their own personal values and beliefs. It is a pattern that we can pick up on and potentially speculate to attribute to the social identity. So what we just saw in SS Sniper Wolf's video, she's playing prop hunt with one of her friends. So she's pretty good. She's a great gamer, often heralded for her really incredible gameplay skills, and so her videos are very entertaining for that reason, and she's also very reactive. She brings a fun personality to the content. She also makes a lot of jokes and adds a tone of humor and chaos. So one of the things I want to highlight in the video that we saw is particularly her attitude, how she talks and speaks with her teammate. This is somebody who is going to be working on the same team as her, who she may want to see the success of, but I do want to highlight that she tended to make jokes at this person's expense. I also want to highlight that this person had a masculine voice, that level of competition. As a Sniper Wolf is of course like a competitive gamer, but this is somebody who she should be playing on the same team with. So hypothetically, we wouldn't expect there to be a level of animosity, but of course that hyper independence and competitiveness is very present in her attitude. There's also the regular fare of calling people trash or making fun of your enemies in a game. That is standard, not something I really want to attribute to her social identity, but I do want to focus on the fact that she is playing a very competitive game and she is exhibiting all these traits and behaviors that we want to associate with the girl gamer identity of the 2010s. I wanted to point out her appearance only to point out how it does connect to the social identity. She's of course presenting as an attractive female. She's wearing low-cut clothing. Her hair is very nicely done. She has her makeup done. She's dressed as an attractive female for the era. And I think to separate SS Sniper Wolf from the way that her appearance is would be a disservice to her identity. Is one of the many points of discussion that come up when people discuss SS Sniper Wolf's fan base is that level of attractiveness to her viewers. I do think that is something significant worth pointing out, as it attributes to how the girl gamer is supposed to be hyper feminine. SS Sniper Wolf has this very long hair. She does her makeup to appeal to the male gaze, to her own gaze as well. But ultimately we see this as very appealing for a male viewership base, and therefore she is emblematic and exhibiting these traits we identified as the girl gamer. All right, now we're gonna head into the 2020s with our current day streamer and influencers, Valkyrae and Pokimane. We're not gonna go over them particularly separately. Instead, what I've chosen to do is focus on a sample clip of them playing Fortnite together. Luckily, they collabed. To introduce Valkyrae and Pokimane to folks who may not be aware, they're both considered some of the top streamers of today. In Valkyrae's case, she rose to popularity during the Among Us period, and it actually led to her winning, of course, Gaming Content Creator of the Year in 2021, and she's also won a Streamy Award. Valkyrae has also been YouTube's most watched female streamer in 2020, so we are looking at a very significant individual. In Pokimane's case, she is the most followed female streamer on Twitch. No awards to list as of yet, but surely perhaps some will come. Both her and Valkyrae are both co-founders of their own individual game streaming social entertainment groups, so you know, content creators who come together and make content together. Did I just say together twice? I did. But my point is, these are two very influential women in the gaming space. As of right now, there are great emblems and examples of what we can expect from female gamers in 2024. So we're gonna settle in and watch a clip of them playing Fortnite together. Let's observe their attitudes. And in this case, we only have Valkyrae's cam. She is going to be our example of compare and contrast with how SS Sniper Wolf presents herself on camera. Again, the same disclaimer applies. We're not evaluating Valkyrae's appearance for any particular reasoning other than to attribute it to whether it fits the stereotype for girl gamers or if it is emblematic of something else or a cultural shift. So this is not judgment on her looks or appearance or how she chooses to present herself, but an observation in comparison.
Woo! They were just playing some ball and we came in hard. No, kill them all. So we're literally dead center of the circle. I don't know where we're supposed to go. Let's just use all the ribs.
Dude, where the heck are these other people?
Oh,
I see people 240 also.
Oh, yeah.
Lifting.
240. Yep.
Or one dude.
We can let, yeah, let's just pounce on this guy.
Come here, my love.
Yeah, get him from behind.
Very low.
Yeah, one of them has no shield.
Can I reload this? Oh my god, this should be the easiest kill.
I got one.
Same. Main.
Oh, behind?
Oh, yeah.
No. Oh, you got him. Oh, so close. We're like inching our way closer and closer to victory. Oh, I see him. He has a scar.
Oh, nice.
One more's coming from the south. Roof! Oh my gosh, he has a... He's got to drop down. Okay, this is your trap. Okay, come inside. Run into a trap. He dropped down.
Nice. Dude,
there's
I
one more.
did a little tickly damage and you finish it with the pump.
Yeah, dude.
There's someone else.
Honestly, I really think it should be the person who does the most damage. Who did that? Who full killed that man?
I don't know, but they're upstairs.
He's coming.
He's right here.
Yay! Nice job!
Let's go. There you go.
Thank you.
I poop it out.
Nice. Oh! No! I'm alive! Someone's throwing stickies?
Oh, it's a push!
It's a push! That was the most panic build I've ever built in my life. Holy cow.
Aw, you did good. You did good.
Thank you, senpai.
Alright, so in this clip we watched Pokimane and Valkyrae play Fortnite together. They are on the same team. They are looking to get kills. They're looking to survive as long as possible, as Fortnite is of course Battle Royale. We see them interacting and lifting each other up. They're making jokes and they're having fun with each other, but you rarely hear any kind of negative or malicious comment. Something else that I observed is that we have a lot of positive congratulations, acts of collaboration, and moments of like, oh, you know, you did so great, like, oh my gosh, let me help you kill this guy. It's a very different attitude, I think, to what we just saw with SS Sniper Wolf and their friend who they were clapping with at the time. Of course, more on that in a bit. The other thing I want to point out is Valkyrae's streaming attire. So this is part of a clip from a live stream that she did, and you can see that she has her hair in a braid, but the braid itself is kind of like, I would say it's more of a loose or slightly messy one. She looks beautiful regardless. Not that that's really the point. Also, she's also wearing a kind of a high cut tank top. It's not necessarily something that somebody would think of instantly as something that is supposed to be appealing to any certain gaze. It really more looks comfortable, and it looks like she has just thrown on clothes to go on and stream. You know, maybe she's come back from a workout. Maybe she's just lounging around at home. Maybe she went out for errands. I mean, the look is giving casual, it's giving comfortable, and in terms of makeup, I can't really tell. Resolution over the internet connection is kind of low. We can definitely assert that she's not wearing a ton of makeup. Her face is not beat in comparison to what we saw with SS Sniper Wolf, where she kind of had the full glam look going. Valkyrae looks much closer to bare skin than SS Sniper Wolf, even if she is wearing products, it's not very visible. So we see that Valkyrae is presenting herself as comfortable, presenting herself as kind of like an everyday appearance, not necessarily going out of her way to put on a certain type of face or appearance for this stream. And I do think that is significant, especially in comparison to SS Sniper Wolf. All right, so coming back to do a full comparison, contrast, and analysis of what we just saw between our two groups of influencers, let's go back to our definition of our girl gamer. So again, our girl gamer is going to be somebody who is categorized by their prowess in games, as well as their more individualistic and rebellious streak in preserving that appearance of their ability. And there's also this interesting intersection with the girl gamer identity that focuses on sexuality and femininity, and how that ties into or plays with the concept of being powerful as a gamer. We also tend to see a little bit aggression or defensiveness depicted into the girl gamer social identity, so that is something we'll also want to look out for as we look at these individuals. I do find it hard, honestly, to extrapolate a lot of this information just from showing you guys a few clips. So I would actually encourage you to do your own research and watch these individuals' videos, whether that's SS Sniper Wolf's old content or you're looking at Valkyrae and Pokimane's current content just as examples, because I think that will paint a much more holistic picture. So when I talk about this analysis, I'm going to be describing them more on the holistic picture from my research, rather than very specific to the clips that you saw. Those clips are more to give you a flavor of personality, and I'm going to go in depth about my overall observations based on their content. What we saw with SS Sniper Wolf is she has a lot of content that hinges on her femininity and her girlness. And I say that because she has a lot of these videos that are highlight reels of kill cams that are specifically titled like owned by a girl. And they're like these montages of her killing people in Call of Duty or various shooter games, and then kind of like taking glee in the fact that people are getting really mad and then realizing that they were beaten by a girl, and then kind of having a different reaction after finding out that fact. In addition to that, SS Sniper Wolf, she's obviously a very competitive gamer, but also so are Valkyrae and Pokimane, and I think that competitiveness is expressed very differently. While they are all participating in games that have shooter elements and require a lot of skill and focus and lend themselves to frustration, I think that frustration is more expressed more expletively in SS Sniper Wolf's content. And of course, that may just be a part of how she presents herself as her online persona persona. That may just be a part of who she is as an individual beyond being a gamer girl. But I do think that her being one of the bigger representations of gamer girls and having that trait is of course significant to that identity and the presence of that identity. In Valkyrae and Pokemon's case, while of course they have moments where they're swearing or where they're finding frustration in the game, we never really see them devolve to trash talking or taking on a lot of aggression with people that they're competing against. Instead, I would say the focus is more on the experience itself or kind of making a lighthearted moment out of it. Again, maybe just part of their personalities, but also significant in the discussions being that they are some of the most famous representations of women in gaming right now. So we've talked about attitude, we've talked about how they collaborate with others a little bit. Geeks in their own right, they have their own levels of significant knowledge. My cat just hissed at my kitten's foot. I don't know why she was doing that because he is dead asleep. But when it comes to assertion of their prowess, I don't see that as often in Valkyrae and Pokemon's content where they feel the need to assert how good they are at games. I think that that is just something that is shown by what they do and what they bring to the table. And I also think they bring to the table more than just being good at games. I think there's a social aspect, a joyous aspect to watching them play and have fun themselves. This is my limited research. If someone is like a diehard fan of like Valkyrae and Pokemon and they've seen way more videos than me, they will probably have a different opinion and maybe a more nuanced opinions. If anybody does have more depths of knowledge here or their own takes on how these gamers represent themselves, please drop it in the comments. I'd love to read about it and find out if I'm making any wrong assertions here or this is kind of like lending itself towards the greater pattern of not falling into the girl gamer stereotype for the modern female gamer. I also want to of course come back to the topic of appearance and presentation. When we look at how SS Sniper Wolf presents herself, we see a full face beaten. And what I mean by that is she has, she has blush, she has contour, eyeliner, lipstick, the whole works. You can tell there's like foundation on her face. Her hair is freshly done most of the time. It's very glossy, it's freshly curled, straight ironed, all these things that you can kind of tell if you're familiar with these tools. And she also tends to wear low cut clothing or clothing that exposes her shoulders, and her camera is typically of course angled to capture this. And that is of course important as it relates to the girl gamer identity because she's emphasizing her femininity through the way that she dresses. All these items are not necessarily gendered, but in her expression, in her own perception, she is seeing it as an expression of her femininity, and that contrast with her playing Call of Duty is a really big draw for her channel, and of course has led to such a diehard fan base that she still maintains in some ways to this day. Based on what we see there, we're able to deduce that she does fit into this girl gamer identity, and I would say that she very much embraces it, or she did embrace it at one point in time. In the case of Valkyrae, and I'm only going to talk about Valkyrae because she was the only one we saw on camera, we saw somebody who was wearing more casual clothing. It's more comfortable. It's a muscle tank tee, something that is more unisex. Her hair is loose, not specifically done up. It is thrown into a braid, and of course she still looks lovely, but ultimately we're not seeing that she's tailored her appearance to emphasize anything in particular. It looks much more like regular casual clothing that somebody would wear on any ordinary day, and that makes sense because streaming is part of her job. She must have to do this very often, so it's not likely possible for her to put so much effort into the production value of getting ready each time she wants to stream. Other than the actual logistics involved, we're seeing a departure from this hyper feminine sexualized appearance, and we see her kind of representing herself as any ordinary person who plays games and enjoys games. I think it's very apparent when you put them side by side. These differences really show a divide in the perception of who they are as gamers. SS Sniper Wolf being kind of emblematic of the girl gamer, Valkyrae kind of embracing just being herself outside of just being a girl gamer, outside of being a woman specifically. Of course, she has many different appearances. She is dressed differently in many different places. The point remains that this is her streaming appearance. This is how she appears on any ordinary day where she streams. And in SS Sniper Wolf's case, that's how she appears in any ordinary day when she creates content. In that sense, it is significant because we see a departure in the type of standard fare of appearance for SS Sniper Wolf. Our most popular streamers today are not putting on all these big productions. They're appearing as themselves. You will go on and probably count off 10 female streamers who do go on and put on makeup and dress up for their streams and their videos, but I chose to focus on Valkyrae for this case study, Pokemon as well, because they are some of the top streamers of our time, therefore emblematic of a larger shift in our culture. Oh wow, okay, it was finally time to draw conclusions. My opinion, of course, is speculative based on my own perceptions, thoughts, and experiences. In all of our examples, we saw that the gamer girl was very present as an identity throughout the early 2010s. We saw Aubrey Plaza kind of masquerading as the gamer girl, showing off that she can be interested in feminine things as well as masculine things that hinged very much on her identity. We saw Deirdre in Bones, very much proclaiming her prowess and ability and reacting defensively when that was threatened. We also saw SS Sniper Wolf, who kind of carries this more competitive, aggressive attitude as a gamer, and she really capitalizes on her own femininity and expresses that in her appearance and dress to contrast that with the games that she's playing in order to encompass that identity as a gamer girl. In modern day, from Nintendo, we saw Rei engaging in what it means to play games, how it connects her to her people, her identity, beyond being a girl, beyond being a woman, and more so connecting her to gaming through her own friendships and social connections. We then looked at Dana from Mythic Quest, who, while also being a very skilled gamer like Deirdre, has dreams and ambitions beyond being an archetype, beyond being perceived femininely. She's more interested in pursuing her dreams in games, not specifically about proving her value there, creating something that she can be proud of as an individual. So all of this goes along with her already existing skill. Her skill never comes into question. Her ability as a gamer is never brought into question. And her identity as a female is more of a footnote or a set dressing to the rest of her experiences. Finally, we looked at Valkyrie and Pokimane. We observed collaborative attitudes even when playing competitive games. We saw a lot of humor and good-natured fun. Valkyrie presents herself very casually as an individual, and in her day-to-day streams doesn't go on to accentuate her femininity when she presents herself on stream. She's presenting as an individual, as somebody who plays games. Her feminine identity is secondary to all of that. Because of everything we've seen, I feel that even if people are able to find folks who are still exhibiting the social identity of the gamer girl, overall, our cultural perception of women in gaming has shifted, and that is codified by these major representations of women in games being such strict departures from that traditional stereotypical identity. We're looking at our most popular streamers, our most popular TV characters, and some of our most popular gaming brands advertisements, and in all of these, across the board, we don't see that classic representation of the gamer girl. She is dead.
She died. Oh my god.
Insofar as pop culture, she is dead, and girl, I don't know if she's coming back. And now that we've established that, we're able to speculate on why that's the case. And don't worry, I have some theories. Okay, theory. No, is that copyrighted? Hold on. Hey, Kikashi. I don't think I can talk about the death of the gamer girl without talking about some of the recent events of history. We ended our conversation about the background of girls in gaming with Gamergate, but after Gamergate, many things continued to happen, not short of the pandemic. And the pandemic is one of those wild, nifty phenomenons where a lot of weird stuff happened and a lot of horrible things happened. We of course saw many, many deaths, many losses of income, of housing, of lives. It was tragedy from bottom to top. And weirdly enough, and because Americans, for whom such a core part of their lives was the workplace, most of them did end up losing that opportunity or moving to a remote world. There was a shift in free time. There's a shift, not only lives, not only mental wellness, not only our perceptions of politics and the government, but we had a shift in lifestyle. The average American prior to 2020, if you think about it, probably spent near every day, at least 5 days a week at some type of job for 8 hours a day. And that totals up to quite a lot of time. So now that we've taken people out of that element, put them into their own homes, we've suddenly gained a lot of time back. And we saw that expressed through the development of weird hobbies. We remember for this time during the pandemic when everybody was like into plants or into crocheting or taking up these really interesting things or diving back into their interests that they hadn't been able to explore since childhood. And it was a cultural moment in accompaniment to everything else it was. I want to focus on that for a moment here, the shifting identities of gamers. With the pandemic, there was an explosion of income for many entertainment groups. So TV, video games across the board all saw a huge growth because we saw many people at home for the first time really with a lot of free time. So with that free time, what do? They spent their money on games. What it did was it kind of expanded the demographic of gamers from beyond just the people who had that time before the pandemic to people who started picking it up on their phone or suddenly realized they had more hours in the day and decided to just do something to kill the time, or maybe even bought the Nintendo Switch to play Animal Crossing and stay connected with their friends. Games became an opportunity for people that had previously not been there. And so that is one part of why the pandemic maybe contributed to the widening demographic of gamers, therefore the widening understanding of the identity of a gamer, specifically female gamers. Related to this, streaming really took off in the last decade, specifically also in the last 5 years. While as a platform, it hadn't always been as popular as Let's Plays. Let's Plays being kind of the first genre of user-generated video game content. Streaming has really taken its place, I think even beyond that of Let's Plays. And how that ties back to the pandemic is we had folks who had more time, who were gaming more, and who were also exploring new avenues of content creation. TikTok, in coupling with streaming, really blew up during the pandemic because everybody was just bored at home and had no way to connect with people. So we had people who were creating things, who were putting their time and energy into making clips and videos and how-tos and everything under the sun, to the fact that we have the rise of content creators. Now, after the pandemic, this attitude became adopted that, hey, anybody can be a content creator. Anybody can download Twitch OBS and start streaming. Anybody can pick up a game and start posting clips and becoming the next biggest thing. Content creation used to have such a high barrier to entry. It was really seen as something that like only if you're lucky, only if you got in on that first wave of like YouTubers. And so I think with the pandemic, we've really reset that expectation. We've seen how easy it is for people to become influencers in their own right. So it is more accessible than ever before, and therefore the demographic of influencers we see has expanded. You no longer have to be appealing to everybody. You just have to be appealing to your niche. With the improvement of algorithms across all social media platforms, your niche is enough to make you your own micro-influencer, to make you famous. And while that doesn't specifically explain why folks like Valkyrae or Pokimane have become as famous as they have, as opposed to somebody embodying a more traditional gamer girl stereotype, I think all we need to do is look at the social context of the world we live in, the recent events of political history. It's not rocket science to realize our perceptions of gender and our perceptions of ourselves are always shifting. Particularly amongst younger generations, we see Gen Z increasingly trending towards kind of breaking out of their binary boxes. Now, of course, the gender binary stronghold philosophy, many people still adopt the attitude of maintaining. With every new generation, we see those perspectives and views being challenged, and we're more likely to see Gen Zers enter that conversation of identity with awareness and an interest in something that's new, something that hasn't been played out before. We've also shifted away from some of those iconic entertainment pillars that expand beyond being a girl gamer and expand into just the hallmark of elements from the era when it comes to media, like being very reactionary or edgy sense of humor. We also experienced in the 2000s a large movement around sexuality, about, you know, how to express that properly. You know, this was the Abercrombie era. There was like a very intense discussion and focus on beauty standards at the time. And so these external pressures must impact how we perceive ourselves in any sense of life. Women in particular who may have been affected by those discussions would carry that into their other identities. If they were a gamer, their sense of how they perceive themselves as a woman would challenge and alter that experience as a gamer. Today, I would venture to say that many attitudes and discussions around beauty standards are always under constant examination, part of our human society, and something that we will always have up for discussion and re-evaluation. But I do think that ultimately, with the trends that we have seen and with the evidence that we have gone over, the gamer girl is dead. And who killed her? We can't say for sure. Many knives, many murderers were involved in her death. But ultimately, I think we're saying hello to a new generation of gamers, including the feminine, but beyond that as well. And that concludes our video essay for today. We did go over a lot of evidence. We went over a lot of big ideas, but I'm sure there's much more to say on the topic. Do you guys agree? Do you guys think that the girl gamer is dead? Do you think that it is now going on to be a niche culture? What do you think will happen for the future of the female gamer identity? Will that dissipate? Will that continue on? And in what forms? I want to know all about it. I know I only hit the tip of the iceberg. So please feed my obsession with this topic and give me some late night reading material. I feel like I have a lot to learn, and we all have a lot to learn too as a community as we continue to explore these ideas that will forever be changing. And if you like this video, please let me know. This is my first wander into video essay territory. So if you'd like to see more of this, please let me know, and I'll know to set aside some time and look into some more topics in the gamer world. If you have ideas for me to cover, I'm all for that too. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.